Hello everyone. During the last few months, the price of Bitcoin significantly increased. And you might ask yourself, is it profitable to mine Bitcoin using your GPU? Well, I don't know the answer. However, I like to perform tests. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to optimize the parameters of your GPU such that you achieve the best performance or profit while mining Bitcoin with your GPU. Before I start, I have to mention the following. In this video, I will teach you how to overclock your GPU. Now, the overclocking operation can cause system instabilities, meaning that your Windows might crash, or in the worst case scenario, you might damage your hardware. Consequently, I have to stress the following. I do not take any responsibility if after overclocking your GPU your system becomes unstable or if you damage your hardware. On the other hand, I can tell you that I have overclocked my GPU and my computer continuously works for the last 2 weeks. And so far I did not have any problems. So it's your choice and it's your own risk. If you want to overclock your GPU, you can do that. However, I do not take any responsibility and I don't want to take any consequences if you damage your hardware after watching this video. Before I start, let me briefly explain you why it is a good idea to adjust the parameters of your GPU while mining the Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency. Well, the main reason is to increase the efficiency, to decrease the power that your GPU consumes, and to increase the mining or the hash speed. The ultimate goal of adjusting the parameter at the end is to increase your profitability. Now, this profitability that you can see over here is calculated on the basis of the average electricity price in your region. You can manually adjust the electricity price, and then this software that I'm going to explain in the sequel will compute your average profitability. So, let's see what happens if I return my parameters to the nominal values that correspond to the parameters that are set by the manufacturers. So when you purchase a GPU, NVIDIA will automatically set the GPU parameters. These parameters are power, core clock, and memory clock. And you can play with these parameters and you can readjust them using this software. The name of this software is Afterburner. It's completely free. You can freely download it and install it. These parameters that you can see over here are optimized parameters such that I achieve the best profitability. For my GPU, in my case the GPU is GeForce RTX 2060 Super. Now, let us return the parameters to their default values. So what I'm going to do? First of all, I'm going to increase the power limit to be 100. Then I'm going to return the core clock to its nominal value. That should be basically 1700. And then I'm going to return the memory clock to its nominal value of approximately 8000 megahertz. Okay, now these are the default parameters, and let's see what will happen when I run my GPU with these parameters. I can run my GPU with these parameters by clicking on this button. Let's see what happens. The immediate effect is that the GPU temperature increases for 8 degrees. We don't want that. We don't want our GPU to work with a temperature of approximately 7 degrees. At the same time, let's see what happens with the efficiency. We can see that the efficiency immediately drops. It drops for 100. At the same time, power increases for 50 watts, so you're consuming more power, which means that your mining process is less efficient, and we can see that the hash speed decreases. After the settling time, after these parameters are fully implemented, we can get efficiency of 200, the consume power of 170, and the hash speed of 35. At the same time, our GPU temperature jumps to 80 degrees. And let's see what happens with profitability. The profitability tremendously drop. Now, this is the main reason why you need to adjust the parameters of your GPU. Otherwise, your profitability will not be maximized. So my advice is to always readjust the parameters of your GPU. In the sequel, I will teach you how to use this software and how to systematically tune the parameters of your mining process. That is, I'm going to explain you how to systematically overclock your GPU such that you achieve the best profitability. In the sequel, I will briefly explain you what you need to install in order to start with cryptocurrency or with Bitcoin mining, and I will briefly explain you what you need to install in order to overclock your GPU. Now, this web page recommends 4 programs for Bitcoin mining. According to their opinion, under quotes, best Bitcoin mining software for 2021 are CG Miner, BFG Miner, Multiminer, and Also Miner. This video is based on the NiceHash miner, and you might ask me, why did I choose this miner? Well, it was very easy to install this miner and to use it and to demonstrate the overclocking operation. Of course, you can try all these other miners and all other miners that you can find online, and I strongly suggest you that you do a very good background check on any software that you will install on your computer. For example, a NiceHash has a Wikipedia page, and this Wikipedia page explains some of the issues that this company had in the past. Also, my advice is to look in company background at Crunchbase. Of course, there is another miner which is called Multiminer, and you can also look into the Crunchbase and read more about this company. For example, for the NiceHash, you can see the monthly visits, you can see other statistics, and etc. And I strongly suggest you that you do a very good background check, since you're going to link your miner with your Bitcoin wallet or with your cryptocurrency wallet, and you need to trust the company that will provide you a mining service. Now, besides the miner, you will need a software for overclocking your GPU. I find that MSI Afterburner is very easy to use, it's very convenient, and it's free. So you can install it and you can easily overclock your GPU. Installation processes for both the NiceHash miner and for the MSI Afterburner programs are very intuitive and super easy, and in order to decrease the length of this video, I will not cover them in this particular video. Now, after you have installed the NiceHash miner, you will see this menu. And if you click on devices, you will get your current profitability. Of course, you need to set up the profitability by entering the average electricity price in your region. You can investigate, you can Google it, and you can find the average electricity price. In my case, it's around 0.12 per kilowatt hour, which is not bad, right? I think in India is 0.05, so it's more profitable to mine Bitcoins in India. Now, this is the standard screen after you run the MSI Afterburner. However, I have to mention here that you need to run the NiceHash miner and the MSI Afterburner with administrator settings in Windows 10. Now, After you run the Afterburner, you'll have this screen, and another default screen that you need to open is the screen that describes the GPU mining performance. So this is the window from the beginning of my video. Now, I'm going to return my GPU settings to default values. And these default values are power of 100%, core clock corresponding to nominal values, memory clock corresponding to the nominal value. And I'm going to click on this button to implement these settings. Now, these are the default settings set by the manufacturer, and you want to adjust them to achieve better efficiency. So what is the first step? I recommend you that you immediately decrease the power limit. So that's the first step. Okay, before decreasing the power limits, let us just wait a little bit for the system to settle down, right, with these new parameters. So you can track efficiency, power, and speed, and you can see the profitability over here. Okay, so the efficiency is around 100, 200, power is 170, and the hash speed is 35. So immediately you should decrease the power limit. So by decreasing the power limit, you're basically decreasing the total power consumed by your GPU, meaning that you basically should achieve more profitability since your GPU consumes less electric power. Okay, let's see what happens if I implement these settings. Let's see what will happen with efficiency, with the power, and with the hash speed. Okay, immediately you can observe that your GPU temperature decreases. That's the first good sign that you're doing a good job. Here, this is the real-time profitability. You actually need to wait for a while to basically let the system to settle in its steady state. Okay, so we're getting 283 efficiency. You can see that the profitability increased a little. Now, the next step that I usually perform, is to increase the memory clock. You can start, for example, with increase of 800 and see what will happen. Let's observe what will happen. So let's track efficiency, power, and speed. You need to wait a little bit for the system to settle down. What's going on? The GPU temperature decreases. Okay, and let's see what happens with the efficiency. Okay, so the efficiency is not bad now. It's around 315, and what you can see over here is profitability. Okay, so you can adjust it a little bit further. You can put it to 937. These values work for my graphics card. In your case, if you have another type of graphic cards, I don't suggest you that you immediately set the memory clock to 1000. You can start with 500, and then you can go up to, I don't know, 800, 900, 1000. Why these values are so high? Because you can see that your base value of your clock, of your memory clock, is already around 7,000-8,000. So by increasing it for 1000, you are basically increasing for 12 or 13%. Now, in the case of your GPU core clock, right, the increase should be 10 or 15%, which means that you can increase this value for 160 or 150. So let us increase the core clock now. Let's put it to, let's say, 147, and let's see what happens. Okay, so let's track the efficiency, power, and speed. I have to tell you that this is the standard window that's being run with the nice hash. Okay, so we are getting approximately the same efficiency, power, and speed, although the profitability increased a little bit. So you can even go a little bit further, and you can set this value, let's say, to 163. Let's see what will happen. The efficiency and power should increase, right? So you're getting more efficiency. Let's see about what happens with power. Here the system still did not settle down, so you need to wait a little bit. But you can see immediately the profitability increased. Okay, obviously by increasing the core clock and by increasing the memory clock, we can achieve higher hashing speeds, right? And these are basically the parameters that I use. Now, in your case, my advice is to start with adjusting the core clock by increments of, let's say, 20. So you can put it 120, 140, 160, right? And you need to track the efficiency and power, and of course the profitability. Now let's try to overclock this a bit more. Let's see, will my system crash? Let's see what happens if I put it to 170, or better, 171. Let's see what happens. Hopefully the system will not crash, but let's see. Okay, so here's the update. After running the mining process for 5 minutes, my Windows screen became completely frozen. And after 5 seconds, the NiceHash miner closed the previous mining window and opened a new window with apparently a new miner. So this means that the parameter of core clock of 171 will cause system instabilities, and that I should not set the core clock above, let's say, 163. Otherwise, my Windows will most likely crash. And NiceHash have some intelligence built in it, so it is able to recognize that this causes system instabilities, and it will try a new hash miner. However, I have reset my mining properties to the previous values, and now everything is stable again. Let us now see what will happen if I max out my memory. Let's see what will happen. Let's see, will my system crash? Okay, so here is an update. After running my GPU with the new parameters for 5 minutes, I obtained the efficiency of approximately 350, the power of 127, and the profitability of 2.89. So I see some slight increase in the efficiency and in profitability, however at the expense of increasing my memory clock for approximately 300. Of course, depending on the type of the GPU you have, these parameters might change. You might need to automatically set these parameters. However, the general procedure is decrease the power limit, then increase the memory for, let's say, 10 or 15% of your nominal value, and then start increasing your core clock with increments of 10, 20, 30 until your system becomes unstable. When your system becomes unstable, decrease for the increment, let's say 5 or 10, the value of the core clock, and you might achieve the stable performance. Okay, that would be all for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you find this video useful, please subscribe or like my channel. Thank you very much and have a nice day.